Karlsruhe, where I'm working now as head of the Academy of Arts, and in neighborhood to the ZKM, the famous exhibition machine, which is existing since the 1990s. This is province, deep province. Karlsruhe has 100,000 people of inhabitants. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's boring. What can young people do there? They invent things. They invent alternative worlds. They invent completely different worlds. This is what the Polish guys did in the small provinces in the 19th century. They invented new words because they didn't have anything else to do. Their father had, for example, let's say a pharmacy for chemistry, and they had contact with chemistries and so on. So they invented new things like, for example, electricity, electrical machines in small cities in Poland. Coming back to Italy, and this is also very important. Rome is so late with such a festival because there is a big misunderstanding about media art. And this misunderstanding is that media art basically has to do with painting and with visual arts. This is wrong. When you look at how media art has been developed, you can see a completely different story. I give you one example. You might be familiar with him, at least the older of you. Nanni Balestrini, a great artist. I like him a lot. A good poet, a good visual artist in the tradition of Dada. Nanni Balestrini said in 1961, together with Umberto Eco, in a bank near Milano, and they wrote on a computer which was nearly as big as this room, an IBM machine, the 77 IBM machine. It cost not only $500,000, it cost several $1 million. They wrote a tiny little poem. In the night of one day in 1961, they were allowed to use this gigantic machine for something different, to write a poem. So Nanni Balestrini took 4 existing texts and permutated them, put them into the machine, and with the help of a program he created one of the very early computer poems. At the same year, in 1961, there was the foundation of an institute where I studied a little bit later, the Institute for Language in a Technological Age. This was built in Berlin in confrontation with building up the wall between East and West Germany, and it was founded by poets and, very important, by musicians. When we are talking about media art, we are talking very basically about time-based arts, about an art which is based on processes, on rhythms, on time structures. The mother of arts, of time-based art, is of course music and poetry. And they together generated these early ideas to take the challenge of technology, of advanced technology, and combine it with arts, combine it with poetry, combine it with something alternative, with something different. And this brings me to a very important point. Everything what we are aiming for, perhaps, when we are dealing with this field is, I hope so, to improve somehow the dialogue between more and more fractalized and fragmentized realities. This was, I mentioned it this morning already, this was the beginning for the first logic machines. Ramon the Catalan, the machines which communicated between Judaism, the Muslims and Christian cultures, and it was also relevant for nearly all of the text machines developed through, let's say, the 17th and the 18th centuries, creating dialogue. Now we have all these machines which Balestrini dreamed of in 1961, because his idea of the computer was very clearly a utopian idea. The idea was very clearly that everybody should create his or her own texts. This is why these computers are there. With the help of these processing machines, it should be possible to create your own reality. That means also your own art, your own poetry. Now we have all these machines and they are networked. We can connect with, I don't know, Kathmandu or wherever we want within a fraction of a second or within a few seconds, it depends on the connection. And what are we doing now with that? Our task is to improve the dialogue. We have no other chance. Dialogue is the only chance to develop this planet and prevent that it's completely falling apart into different interests, into different religions, into different hegemonial positions. So let's pick that up. And dialogue also means, of course, all that which has been addressed already, the deep dialogue between the heterogeneous fields of the arts, of sciences, of technology. This is more or less the triple also which Muntadas mentioned. It's the triple which Gertrude Stocker addressed. This is what we have to generate, a deep dialogue between worlds which are usually not talking to each other, which are tending to fall apart. And this is, I think, still a great task. Thanks and have a good lunch.